Sivusele lishonile Maswati Lamahle sesinaye ke longangayimeli Mr. Mgometulu. Mr. Mgometulu, can you please give the nation about today and the postponement details?
Siyabonga kakhulu eKhabako, sibonga kakhulu nelithimba lenihamba nalo noma lelihambisana nalo lebameli. Sanibonani Maswati Lamahle. Siyanivusela Ntsambama, sithanze kubonga ukuthi niphinze nithathe lesikhathi nedatha yenu nisilalele ukuthi i-feedback yanamhla enkantolo nabe ithini. Njengoba bengike ngasho asikuthatheli phansi ukuthi you have an interest to know ukuthi what is the outcome ye case yabahlonishwa benu. So siyabonga ngesicela kusiniketeke leyo feedback namhla njengalokhu kujwayelekile. Mhlawumbe umlanga aqala ngako nje kusho ukuthi elangeni namuhla licala lichubekile cishe kuwo onke lamalanga omathathu besolo sidila ngefakazi bemhlonishwa munye lokungumhlonishwa abaqede emabuza la khona uqale wenda nabule sikubida ngizi evidence yakhe in chief kusukela ngolwesibili nayitolo la khona sibese siyakwathi siphothulwe khona. Namhla ke bekusikhathi sekuthi bameli bahulumende noma abashushisi baqale bamhlabe ngemibuto lesikubida ngokuthi cross examination. Kuhambe kahle kakhulu ke umhlonishwa uphendule kahle cishe yonke imibuto ngidawusho njalo lebe abutwe yona, and sine njengelithimba lakhe lebameli we have been very impressed by how he withstood the pressure ye cross examination nangendlela lakwatile ukuthi aphendule kahle imibuto yakhe yonke ngayo. Asimange sisachubekela phambili ke ne cross examination noma ne re-examination ngisho njalo. I cross examination iphelile lo sekutawulandzela kutawuba i re-examination mzokwana ke sibuye. Lenganitshela kona ke ngicabanga ukuthi mhlambe labaningi benu ngeke nikuthakasele kangako kodwa ngine responsibility ukuthi nginitshele iqiniso njengoba linjalo. Besizamile ke Maswati Lamahle ukuthi sithole emalanga lasheshako njengoba nathi nje besinikete emalanga lamathathu kuphela kuleli viki. Sizamile ukuthi mhlambe kuphindze kube khona lesiwatholako noma kusevikini lelitako noma emalangeni. Kwase kuyakhanya ukuthi inkantolo lenkulu yemajaji itawuba ngule thatha isikhathi sekuthi seyike iguce emajaji sekahambe ayophumula bese seyiya lokhu lesikubida ngokuthi recess. Itawube seke seyachubeka inkantolo ngicabanga ukuthi khona lapha kubo October nje ke. Kodwa imalanga lesibese siyawathola ke postponement emva kokuba emajaji sekabuyile ekuphumuleni kwawo. Sithole mhla ka 8, 9, 10 November la khona sitawuchubeka nobufakazi bemhlonishwa abaqede bese sesibita nalabanye bofakazi bakhe. Bese ke mase sicedzile ngakhona lokho sibese sesibita ke nemhlonishwa umthandeni. Litawuphindze futhi lichubeke licala ngelanga lenzelako emva kwaloko mhla ka 15 na 16 November. Emalanga egcina provisionally lesibese sithi asiwa secure nawo kusesekuhle kwaba ngumhla ka 13, 14, 15 kuDecember. Lesicabanga ukuthi ke thina njengabameli bebahlonishwa noma kule case yebahlonishwa konke lekufanele lethi sikwende sicabanga ukuthi sitawukhona ukuthi sikucedzelele konke kulamalanga lesibhekene lesiniketwe wona. Emva kwaloko ke lokuyawulandzela sekuyoba ngokuthi sale silinza lona lijaji emva kokuba sesende ama final submissions ethu noma ama closing arguments ukuthi lisinikete yona i-judgment.
Mr. Mgometulu, emaswati akhathatekile. You could read from the comments box. Maybe in short, Mr. Mgometulu, can you summarize briefly what the evidence was?
Njengoba bese ngeke ngasho kule utawukhumbula ukuthi umhlonishwa abaqede by virtue of him being the first accused. Lokuningi lokuthiwa kwendiwa lokuphathelene ne-terrorism cishe kuleli hlangothi lwahulumende bacabanga ukuthi le terrorism yenziwa nguye ikakhulu. Nathi besigadzileke ukuthi awubhekana nemibuto le ngasuki phansi abudwa ngobashushisi. Kodwa ke lokufike kwasimangalisa nase siyibuka nje i-case njengabantu phela nathi lesi sineminyaka sibameli. Sithole ukuthi awubede imibuto nabakithi. Bekude sanhlobo imibuto lebe iphila nje lengathi umhlonishwa ubutwe yona. Nakuleyo lemincanyana lebekhona ukhona into yokusumhlonishwa aphendule ngendlela levakalako nangendlela le consistent naloko lebe solo asitshela kona solo salithatha lelicala. So he has acquitted himself quite well kuyo le cross examination and we are very proud of that. Le kube sekuyavela ke ukuthi sisusa sako enokuchazile umhlonishwa sayo yonke le case emaswati ngiyacela namhla ukuthi ayi-understand lento. I-case yabacede namthandeni isukela ekuthenini baphakamise sishukumiso ngiyacabanga sibe kula kubo March eminyakeni lophelile 2021 lesithi emaswati kungaba njani ukuthi atikhethele ndunankulu wawo. Basiphakamise leso sishukumiso leso sithole iacceptance noma kwemukeleka kuma MPs noma kubahlonishwa labaningi kakhulu. Lokho bekutawubangela ukuthi kuamendwe section 67 we constitution. Section 67 ke ukhuluma ngokubekwa kwandunankulu ukuthi uyaye abekwe kanjani, ubekwa ingwenyama emva kuba sekalulekwe iadvisory council. Nane kuthi ndunankulu uyaye abekwe kuyiphi indlu. So ndakhumbula ke kulesikhathi lesi ndunankulu lebe akhona bekungu acting deputy prime minister longangaba beThemba Masuku. Lebe angasiyo ililunga le House of Assembly kodwa lebe ayi Senate. So kwase kuyabahlupha ke bahlonishwa ukuthi hayibo naku siphatha iSenate kanti phela iConstitution ithi kumele umuntu londunankulu avele ku House of Assembly. So they were quite disturbed about that. But ke baqhubeka ke ba-agitate ke ukuthi akubekwe ndunankulu webantu lokhethwe abantu. So ke bese babaningi ke bahlonishwa ufakazile ke umhlonishwa baqede ukuthi there were many MPs, there were about 28 MPs who accepted his proposition or i-call yakhe leyakwadi ukuthi i-resonate nabo noma yamukeleke kubo. Akubaphathanga kahle ke department ke dale live. Lokwabangela ukuthi ke longandunankulu agcine sekathe hey aphila ama minutes nine bahlonishwa lenithi bantu bafuna ukuthi khethela ndunankulu wabo. Basukuma ke bantu bathi hayi ufuna ama minutes singakwendela wona. Lawo ma minutes ke ngilokhu lesagcina sikubita ngisima petitions. Akufakwe ema petition. So ke kwase ke sekufakwa ke ama petition lesitholile ukuthi kwagcina kufakwa ama petition la ngi41 noma etinkundleni leti ngi41. Wase sekuyabuya ke ndunankulu ke seyakhulunyiswa indzaba ema petition kwagcina seyindzaba seyiswa ku caucus ye parliament. Ku caucus ye parliament kwaba nguye longangaliphini la ndunankulu uThemba Masuku. Lo wathi labantu labafuna kuletha lama petition abavunyelwe ukuthi balethe ama petition etinkundleni. Nalabanye bahlonishwa ke bavumelana naloko bekwendeka ku caucus hayi endlini. Ingakwe emaswati lamaningi akakwadi lokho. So ke nase siphumile ke sijubo lesithi abantu abahambe bayo deliver ema petition etinkundleni letisele bese kusele 18 kuphela. Lokho kwendeka ngemhla ka 21 June 2021. Lama petition bekumele ukuthi a receive ngomhla ka 26 27 June 2021. Lokho mangalisa ke bahlonishwa ke ukuthi ke ngemhla ka 24 longangeliphini la ndunankulu wase ukhipha naku lesikubida ukuthi burning order. I burning order yakhe ke beyithi ku deliver kwema petition kumisiwe. Ema petitions alanga sa deliver. Yase seyisuka lapho emva kokuba longangeliphini la ndunankulu ngekuthi sekatshelwe iParliament noma sekuvunyelwe neParliament ukuthi kuyo deliver ama petitions avela ishintshe yena yedwana. Bese ke sokhipha sinqumo lesema petition akeme. Lokho kwenda ngemhla ka 24 niyakhumbula ngemhla ka 26 nangemhla ka 27 last year ukuthi ngilakhona kwabe sekucala kakhulu ukuthi kube nemsindo lo wagcina ubangele ukuthi kufe abantu labacishe banga 100 ngemhla ka 29 lakhona kwabe sekukhishwa nemasoja sekune looting nako konke. So lokuvelile critically lokuvelile ebufakazini bakhe longanga mhlonishwa bacede ukuthi kahle na uyibheka lendzaba uyibheka ngeliso lelijulile nangeliso nje mhlambe leli objective. Liqiniso lithi liphini la ndunankulu uThemba Masuku lo wabangela ukuthi kube neviolence even la kangwane ngoba kube akaphikisananga nesinqumo seParliament sekureceive ama petitions mhla ka 26 na 27 June kwakungeke kube nelidlame even. Lesingakugcizelela ke ngale resolution liyathathwa mhla ka 21 ukuthi onke emalunga eParliament beka khona nakuthathwa lesinqumo lesi onke lokufaka phakathi nalo ad hoc member longanga attorney general lena attorney general Khumalo akaphikisananga nalesinqumo sekuthi ema petition awamukele. So uyadibuda ke ukuthi ngesikhathi ke ndunankulu sekaphikisana neku receive kwama petition besa consult bani besabuya phi nalesinqumo lesinjalo ngoba phela naye beka khona eParliament ngesikhathi kuthathwa isinqumo sokusema petition adawu deliver kube longangandvunankulu akaphikisana naleso sinqumo bonke labantu abafile ngabe solo bayaphila tonke letitolo letiyashiswa ngabe solo tikhona so kube inkinga ke so ukuchazile ke umhlonishwa ngeke ngisakuchaza kakhulu nanekuthi ke uvetile ke ukuthi indlela lokwatholakala ukuthi emaphoyisa sekadispersa ngawo ema-protesters kwaba indlela lenelidlame nesibulawela libe singanasidingo ngaleso sikhathi yena Themba Masuku futhi bekade awukhona ukuthi akwekhute lokho ngoba phela emaphoyisa sidakwati bekunene ukuthi emaphoyisa reporta kuye ngakwe-ministry. In other words, he is also the minister of police but akakwendanga lokho lesabona sagcina sekungenelela nemasotsha kwafike kwabulawa abantu. So I think in the main kungaba ngiloko nje lesingaka-highlighta ukuthi sesiyati ukuthi ludlame lolabakhona eSwatini lwavelaphi. This is testimony that has been given under oath. Le banning order yaba ne-effect yokuthi iphuce abantu emalungelo abo la guaranteed in terms of section 24 and section 25 of the constitution.
Another thing, Mr. Mgometulu, what is your response to those who say the defense team may be delaying the case somehow?
Well, that is quite very unfortunate. In fact, I think from time to time I've heard these comments, Endiwa, which perhaps maybe some of the delays could be coming from our side. Ngakubeka kucace nje cishe kuwo onke emaswati ukuthi kuwo onke lama postponements la khona kude ngishona yinye lesingathi yabangwa ngithi njengebameli bebahlonishwa. Cishe onke ama postponements la bekhona kule case bekavela kulolu hlangothi lwanaba la kuthiwa abo prosecutor ngetizathu ke letahlukahlukene kodwa lokunye bekusiyayisibona ngathi kusiphukuda nje kune element nje kuba ngama delaying tactics ekhathi. But from our side we have not delayed the case. In fact, we have got no interest in delaying the case. I think kule kumbuto lobuta kokhabako khona labanye labaze bathi kude bameli batokhona ukuthi bachubeke bathole imali. Mhlambe umuntu sekathi khulumela yena mina sengikhulumela mina. First of all, the case ingenda mahala. I'm not being paid a cent. And the reason is quite simple. Bekungeke ukuthi baqede namthandeni balwela eMaswati, baboshwe kulwela eMaswati. Basinase bangibita kule case nami ngitalwa eSwati makwami wasenyakeni. Bese sengifike ngiba ngumuntu lo tawufike ende imali ngale case. Kanti labantu bebasebenzela eMaswati. So I am not being paid a cent. I chose not to be paid a cent. If anything, I'm spending a lot of money and I will continue to do so. Usupporta lo msebenzi lo muhle lo wendiwa iMass Democratic Movement. I employ over 300 people. I think uNkulunkulu ngibusisile, my businesses are doing well. Right. I paid millions of rands in taxes. So there is no way that I will need to delay this case to make money. And I am saying this also for the entire legal team. I think none of us are interested in delaying. We are interested in getting Bahlonishwa out of jail. Lebe bakhona enkantolo babonile ukuthi ummeli longanga Kusvan Vuren SC uzamile nakuba sesitsheliwe ukuthi emajaji awekho ukuthi sizame ukuthola ama-dates la early kude sitosheshe sicethe kwase kuyakhanya ke ukuthi ke awu vele ama-dates awekho naye umhlonishwa abacede wazama ukuthi ishweletele ejajini kwakhanya kusema-dates awekho. If kukhona into lesiyijakile eMaswati lamahle kuthi le case lena siyicethe ngokusheshsha. There's so many things that need to be done. As soon as we finalize this case, we still need to work towards a democratic transition in this country. Lengikholela ukuthi thina sonke siyayifuna ene kuningi lokutawulungiswa i-democratic transition uma ngabe seyendekile. Lokunye nje lokutawulungiswa lokusimple lingasheshe niku-understand. Ngilokuthi livela kangwane litaba netinsatheli letibuta imibuto lengiyo letingeke tibute imibuto ngokwesaba. Ema-reporters atawureporta ngekukhululeka. Kungimanje eMaswati khabako aphilela nine nabo Swaziland News nalabanye labangibona ba-reporter independently. Siyafisa ukuthi i-Observer ayireporte independently. Ingabi liphepha lema-announcements ahulumende kuphela. I-SBIS kodwa sekuthiwa manje yini i-BIS. I-BIS nayo I report objectively. Lelicala leli nje bona ngicangisa abakhulumi nekukhuluma nangalo. Nekubulawa kwebantu ngeva athi abakhulumanga nangakho. So inkosi yathi eye for an eye mhlambe bakureporta ke lokho. ngoba phela bekhuluma umnikati wesiteshi ngisho nema MPs lena bavotela amaswati lamahla awakwadi ngisakhulume nani emsakatweni lokhokhelwa ngini ngemithelo yenu. So siyafuna ukuthi both times nabo observer nalabanye abachubeke babe khona, but we are trying to create a space ukuthi the journalists must ask tough questions and labo lababutwako they must not run away from the questions njengoba endile longanga Alfios Nxumalo ngesikhathi abuta imibuto lenzima lapha ku SABC wagcina sekahaza umlomdzala sekagcwala emahlathi. So thina lesikhuluma nesive we want to be asked tough questions and we must respond to those questions. So that can only happen in an environment where there's freedom of the media and the people are free to exchange ideas and opinions. And by the way, freedom of expression and the expression of opinions is guaranteed in terms of the Constitution in Section 24. So siyafuna ukuthi that guarantee in the Constitution must find expression in real terms. Bantu bakwati ukuthi they must leave that right of expression. Lingabi nema limitations lesingawadi ukuthi asuyaqhamuka livela kangwane likhungethwe luvalo ngisho amadrots ale live they are full of fear. Siyafisa ukuthi the more there's an exchange and there's an intercourse of ideas but awukhululeka kula matomo abo ekusaba sithi kubo fear not kude kusile live lunge kutawufuna ukuthi lilungiswe ngini. Even men of the clergy sibonga nje labafundisi laba liberated ecabangeni kwabo bayesaba and yet lelivangeli abalishumayelako livangeli lenkululeko nele liberation. So uyamangala ke ukuthi yini lelengaka lesatshwako ngemuntu munye nje nemndeni wakhe yebo nithi ulwandle olukhulu kodwa kusatshwani kahle kahle. The issues that we are dealing with ngema issues that are national questions that will make a difference etimpilweni nasetikulwaneni tonke temaswati. So lokumcoka ke ukuthi bantu kufuna bakhulume ngekukhululeka ba exchange ideas but decide ukuthi live labo lingaphathwa kanjani aliphele livalo emaswatini.
Mhlambe nje ubuta nje umbuto engabuta wona sivuke ne headline yaka Times namuhla lebhale ukuthi MP bacede I love king and respect king. Lomle mhlamba akayifunzi yonke lenzaba. Sekuna lawo misconception ukuthi lumnye uthi so ya surrender bacede. Mhlambe ungacacisa kuloko kulobukele mhlambe lofundzele headline wangasafunzi ekhaya.
No. Kude info ngishona yinye bacede la icolisako. Good info la icolisako bacede because there is nothing to apologize for because he has not violated any law of this country. But in any event, ngicabanga ukuthi observer vele kufana nayo ukubhala ama headlines la kanjalo no my times. Yeah, I think one of them bafutile bobabili. But here's the thing. The issue is that he has never said he hates the king. In fact, kulama videos la dlala but they are all of them on record to have said there should be no violence and people should not insult the king. So loko akusho ukuthi bayaxolisa ukuthi indlela bayaxolisako and angeke futhi baze baxolise because there is nothing to apologize for. By the way, they have been advised ngetindlela letinye leti clandestine ukuthi abahambe bayoxolisa and they told us even before we could advise them that they are not going to do that. So if kukhona labacabanga sikhona ukuxolisa kuyakhanjiswa into ingoma nakuxolisa none of that is coming. They are not apologizing for anything. Forget about it.
Mhlambe sesiyazi baphetheleni Mr. Mkometulu. Mr. Mkometulu, don't you fear for your life given the brutal nature of this regime and your fearless defense of the MPs and the mass democratic movement?
No, I don't fear for my life. I don't fear for my life at all. I am not in this business merely to make money out of it. Law for me was always a means to an end. And the end is justice for people who require justice wherever I find them. I have been representing people in South Africa for the past 17 or 18 years. I continue to do so. And where I confront injustice, I always make a humble contribution. Now, what I am doing for the MPs and for the mass democratic movement in this country is also a small contribution to bring about justice even. So really, I don't fear for my life. I run a clean business and I've got no enemies if undawufa unnaturally nibokwathi ukuthi sitha samsinye kwamanje ngicabanga ukuthi ngile regime lethumela abantu sibaphele kungilandzela which is quite unfortunate, but I don't fear anything.
Upon your arrival, Kamsunduza, you were accompanied by a drone which we witnessed. Are you under surveillance or being monitored in any way?
Well, I've been made to believe that I am. I've been told by the police themselves that I am being followed. I don't know for what reason. There's no need to follow me, anyone. You can come now. Ngila Hilton. Asihlale ngaphandle sithole na iboardroom. Sihlale phansi sikhulume. So there's no need to be following me around. You can ask me anything you want to ask. So angidingi kube lo solo ngilandzelwa ngini. I've got freedom of movement, I've got freedom of association. I choose who I meet, when I meet them. I violate no laws of this country or the country where I come from. But if I am threatened, of course, I will expect my government, the South African government, to chip in and take responsibility for Dinvole Diganjalo. But if anyone was to take me out, I can promise you I will not die alone. Measures have been put in place to make sure that if I am taken out, I don't die alone. That I can guarantee you. So I don't fear for my life.
Yeah, sasigcina nje Mr. Mgometulu mhlambe ke ubuka lama dates ngalendlela lelule ngakhona Mr. Mgometulu masotha khathatekile kakhulu ngekubuka nje lesimo ngendlela kwenteke ngayo namuhla lapha ikabe vele Mr. Mgometulu, how would you like the nation to keep supporting the struggle for democracy in Swaziland?
Well, I think the MPs are on record now nabo to say kukhululeka kwawo kusetandleni demaswati. Why kube setandleni demaswati? Yingoba konke labakwendile nekuhlupheka kwabo labakuko njengamanje. Yingoba bebasebenzela emaswati. There's nothing that they were going to benefit themselves, personally or materially. Really. So you can imagine if the reforms were put in place, it's not as if kona bebatakzuza bona personally. Both of them are on record to say they are not even interested in being prime minister or anything of that sort. But they were saying, lendlela lokusebenzeka ngayo kuyabacacela ukuthi akusebenzeki ngoba lokwendeka ukuthi ilokhuzana iparlamente iyahlangana uthathwe inqumo nase kuthethwe inqumo iphinde tshintshwe leto inqumo leto nase kuthiwa tishintshwe kanjani bese kuthiwe what message from the throne kodwa le throne beyingekho nak debate. So kwenteka kanjani ukuthi leyo throne leyo yona seyingaba nekuhlakanipha lokuningi kundlula emalunga eparlamente lang 59 mangaka but money almost 100 if not more. So I mean it's inconceivable, it's undemocratic ukuthi nje njengoba silana sonke kule boardroom singahlala sikhulume bese kufika umuntu munye nje avele athele mani kuyo yonke lento lebesikhuluma. So they were saying this is not only undemocratic but akusebenzeki kwenta silive la kangwane lingathuthuki. There's many examples even I personally I can give about many opportunities lengabe afikile even la kangwane. I'm talking about economic opportunities langeke aze afike uma ngabe le live solo lisasebenza ngalendlela le. Ngivile nje khona ngibani Minister of Finance, Minister of Foreign Affairs athi bekase Serbia ngathi kuphi abhiza yenga abantu athi iSwaziland bamangele ukuthi democratic kangaka. Emaswati lamahle inkundla azange sethibe democratic. Akusiyo idemocracy ukuthi utawukhethelwa umuntu munye nelibandlana lakhe lelincane ukuthi live loholwa ngibani ukuthi umthelo wakho kwentekani ngawo nane ukuthi sive sonke nje siphatheke kanjani. Akusiko lokho. Akusi democracy ukuthi kutawuphuma iorder le-unlawful. Le order le-unlawful ni execute nibe nathi ukuthi i-wrong ayikho emthethweni. Ngikhuluma nani nemaphoyisa nemasotsha. So that is undemocratic. Akusi democracy ukuthi kungafa abantu labang100 kungabi ne-investigation ngisho yinye lethi labantu bafa kanjani, lo wajube kumkhono wajubeka kanjani, lo washiswa wagejinyiswa tuke emakasi lashako lapha eBrewery washiswa kanjani kwendekani. So those things in a democratic state, all of them, they have to be investigated, and those that need to be compensated, they have to be compensated. Part of what must happen in a democratic state is that you have got an independence of the judiciary, where a judge is appointed through a transparent system. There's an independence of the judiciary and there's an observance of the rule of law. The rule of law is supreme, the constitution is supreme, and every man is subject to the constitution. So that's the democracy that we envisage. Where it doesn't matter what parliament says. So that's not what we are talking about. So if emaswati ayakufuna lokule ngikhuluma ngakho and ngicabanga ukuthi ayakufuna lokule ngikhuluma ngakho kuwo emaswati ukuthi atawenda ini kuze wenteke lokho labakufunayo. It is up to you, Maswati Lamahle. It is really, really up to you. And I would want to urge this generation. This must be the generation where it is the last time that le live libuswa ngale ndlela libuswa ngayo konke nje niyakhethelwa ngathi nibandvana. You have to take charge of your own destinies. Nikwati ukuthi nitibusela live lenu labokhokho omkhulu wenu balifela nami nginamkhulu waze wayembini sasimbida ngambini ligama lakhe naye bekalwela le live leli. So all of you have a responsibility to know what's happening to your taxes. Some of the intelligence that we are getting about it volitendeka ku tax yemaswati, where there's a black hole la khona ngena khona imali ingena kuphela iphumi umgodi longagcwali, and that money is not even accounted for. That thing is leading to the destruction of many professions, including the profession yama auditors, where they must find a way to explain out certain monies that are paid to certain accounts without any proper explanation. So those are the things that we need to fix. And we are saying in a democratic state, none of that should happen. And emaswati, they must join the call that has been made for democratic reform. And if they really want it, they must go and learn from other nations what they did to acquire their democracy. It's not easy, but it's doable. So kuleli viki ke sengigcina bantu basehosiya bacelile ukuthi sibavakashele eKhabako ukuthi siyo bachazela kune bantu basehosiya abantu abadzala labanye bafikile enkantolo umhlonishwa ujabule kakhulu ukubabona labacela ukuthi siyo bachazela ukuthi icala selihambe lafika. So ngemgcibelo siya ehosiya siyohamba siyochaza ukuthi sesihambe safika phi macondzana nelicala nalokunye lokuningi lesicabanga sidachaza. Futhi abantu bataba nelithuba lekubuta imibuto sidabaphendula ngoba siyibalekela imibuto noma ngabe ikhona kanganani. Ukuthi thi siwaphendule emaswati, even awkward and difficult questions, we are prepared to answer them.
Ngesi dlakadla uyati ngalinye langa uke wakhuluma commissioner wamaphoyisa wathi bantu abaphumele eshashalazeni, wakhuluma ngalinye langa Prince Melane wathi fight fire with fire, wakhuluma ngalinye langa inkosi Mswati yathi eye for an eye. Sesibona umbiko ke wayitolo sekukhuluma iSenate President Pastor Lindiwe uthi ngomalivela kangwane liyabati bantu laba inciter violence ababoshwa ngani. Siyabona ke ukuthi na TSC so another enabler seba victimizer President Mbongo ngekuthi wawonisha bothishela labamkhetha ukuthi abaphephe bahlala emakhaya ngale threat lekhona ezweni. Kungabe dlakadla ungathini ngalamagama aSenate President Lindiwe ukuthi akuboshwe emaswati nalokuthi lokwendeka ku President Mbongo ngabe ungathini ezweni nalabanye baholi labakhona etinhlanganweni ezihlukene angasekelwa kanjani President Mbongo ngoma ngekukholelwa kwethu sikholelwa ukuthi President Mbongo bekangathi khulumela yena akawadlamini kopha bekakhulumela sonke sive ngoma siyathi ukuthi bothishela is the most important career lekhona emhlabeni wonke.
Siyabonga kakhulu umbuto wakho Southern Democratic News. Lengingakusho nje kule yalomfundisi lo khuluma ngaye. Sonke sikhuliswe abafundisi, siyabahlonipha abafundisi. NeBhayibheli sihle silihlola. Ngicabanga ukuthi wenda liphutha wekunene. Kude emaswati kumele kusaboshwe la. Liqiniso lithi emaswati kumele ukuthi ahlale phansi kukhulunyiswane kuvunyelwane ukuthi live lawo litawuphathwa kanjani. So mfundisi uthi ngibani Lindiwe angikuthanzi lokushito. Lokuthi uthi wena akuboshwe emaswati. It's an irresponsible statement that you have made. ikakhulu ngoba le statement lesa awuzange usisho ngaJune 29 nesikhathi kubulawa eMaswati abulawa ngema-armed forces. Nathi siyabati lababulala eMaswati, kodwa noma kunjalo asibafiseli kufa, sifisa ukuthi akube ne-justice event eMaswati. So mane kube wathi wena kufunwe nalamaphoyisa labulala abantu labanacala, sabona lapha bantwana labancane labanabo 14 years amantombazane for that matter akhishwa etindlini, masotsha lami 4 lagcoka emabhutsi babakhahlela konke lokho sakubona ngaJune. You said nothing when I'm mfundisi wena. So now you've got an audacity yekutshela abantu ukuthi akuhanjwe kuyoboshwa abantu labafuna ukukhululeka kulobugcili, which you are complicit in perpetuating as well. So we don't like what you are saying, and I think it's really, really wrong. You shouldn't have said what you have said. So I said it yesterday, and I will say it again. I think it is becoming intolerable, really. And there should be a continued arrest of EMA leaders in the mass democratic movement. I would want to urge the people whom these leaders are leading, they must protect their leaders. So if, for instance, Mbonga abitwa ukuthi akahambe ayohlangana nazibanibani ngibani Shashalazi ahamba ayohlangana naye, abaphi bothishela bamphekeletele, iphi executive yakhe ingamphekeletele. But thankfully I've met the leadership yesterday. I've conveyed my message of support. I think the decision that SNAT took, this is not a decision that was taken by Mbonga, by the way. It's a decision that SNAT as a leadership, they took as a collective to say, given the threats, lebe akona even, lokungema threats lakhona, by the way. Sekuthi le hulumende lona uyavamisa ukukhuluma emanga, wayichaza umfundisi lo khuluma iqiniso longa ngaBishop Nkambule ukuthi ngumbuso lonjani webantu bemanga, kunemanga lamaningi kulombuso. So liqiniso lithi there were threats lesibonile ke namhlanje sivuke ekuseni ngapha enyakatho ukuthi ngathi bekuma threats lakhona impela ngoba sibonile head teacher lapha achaza lelinye indzaba umlomdzala ebusuku. So we are saying the decision that SNAT took was a very responsible decision because no one knows what could have happened. Kunemaphoyisa bekagijima jagile la ahamba ayoshaya nini engcamane nabo swayoko ngalanga ndasi. Siyathi thina sibayoshaya nini. Agcine angasafiki. Lokho waniketa sithombe lesawusho sinemaphoyisa wakhona ukudivikela. Bothishela ke bekumele bende njani ke ngetinswane letincane labanye babo, labanye bantwana labangaphasi nje kwabo 10 years. In a state where there's threats that are existing in the country and in a state where the members of the police and the armed forces are demonstrating that they are struggling to even protect themselves. So the decision that SNAT took was a responsible decision. It ought to have been taken, and therefore, if anybody ought to be charged, charges, it is the entire SNAT executive or the entire SNAT leadership. But I can tell you one thing, relax, nothing is going to happen to Mbonga. Mbonga is not going anywhere. And we take the view that whatsoever the efforts, lakona intimidator, they will come to nil. Because I am saying, you must not allow Mbonga must be victimized. Nikona, you have to protect him because he took a responsible, he took a very responsible decision together with his collective to protect Timbilo de Bandana Bemaswati.
Asibonge Mr. Mgometulu, sibonga isikhathi sakho. Sithi nzatheli siyadibongela kakhulu Mr. Mgometulu ne-effort lo ke loyifakako khona evela seSwatini. Siyabonga amaswati amahle isikhathi senu, nibe nebusuku lobuhle.
Yes, siyabonga bengifuna nje kusho ukuthi sifisela labalimele kuma armed forces ukuthi baphile. Sitholile ngesikhabawo. Sitholile ukuthi labanye babo basina bafika nalathi ibhedlela. Umuntu ahamba yokuthengela umuthi. Lo hulumende nimsebendelako kuyakhanya bekunene kungathi akakhoni lokuninakekela kahle. Ngicela kunitshela ukuthi likhona lithemba kulo hulumende lo musha lesizama ukuthi ni understand ukuthi uyathingeka. Angeke niphathwe ngalendlela le ndaba nama medical aid ndawuphatheka kahle. Kodwa ke mhlambe just an icing on the cake. Uma khona labalimele njengamanje labadzinga le mithi sitabathengela khababo. sitawuthenga le mithi yalamaphoyisa nemabhandishi nawo wonke kwake kwadutshula umuntu lapha bamshayaliso emaphoyisa kwathiwa nakufika lapha esibhedlela kwakude ngisho libhandishi bawukhona nanishera libhandishi ukuthi lingapheli. So siyacela ukuthi nisithinze bakhulume nanti insatheli nangabe badzinga sitayithenga le mithi yalamaphoyisa nalamabhandishi nalama-crutches. Lo munye kuthiwa lo mkhono bowushuphukile ubhekele ngemuva uliphoyisa lo muntu solo akayitholi operation. Ngiyamkhumbula ukuthi isihlangu sembi bamgijimisa bamisa eMill Park. Ngiyakhumbula ukuthi labanye bayagijimiswa bayiswe emaveni noma ngikuphi labafuna kuya khona kuyolashiswa kodwa nini lenibavikelako imikhono iyabola lapha. So siyacela ukuthi nakhona labadzinga lo sito sidalo availa lukhona kude ukuthi bathole ukuthi basitakale bahambe bayolashiswa. Lengagcina ngako nje iswavisa nayo ikhona siyathi ukuthi iswavisa inhlangano yalama Swati lalimala ngalesikhathi kunalolu dlame. Iswavisa has been allocated an amount of 123,000 rands bese iconfirma itolo ngicela sinihambe niyo confirma kuMatsaptsap. There's 123,000 rands otawuqala nawo ukuthi usite emaswati ladzinga lo sito lwema-crutches nako konke labalimatwa balinyatwa kunganasidingo balinyatwa nguhulumende wabo. So sihambile sayongqongqoza la sinqongqothe khona sathola ukuthi sithole lolo sito lolo 123,000 rands has been allocated. I believe without singakapheli leliviki I think leyo mali tabe segijima bo 150,000 lesiyiraisako ukuthi iswavisa ikwadi ukuthi inethise imfuno tebantu labadzinga lusito. So we are very excited about lelo sito lelo siyacela nabakithi bobonke bosomabhizinisi balelive labanye benu unga-adopta nje noma ngiphi iphathi lofuna kuyi-adopta ukuthi le liswane lami ngidayinakekela ngidayikhulisa ngidawukhokhela konke lokuthi imfuno tabo kude ukuthi sibakhulise. Labanye benu siyanicela ninga-adopta labalaba limalabo ngithi lona utaba wami ndamyisa kubodokotela azalulame aze aphile because lesikufunako sifuna ukuthi emaswati onke angene aphilile ku-New Swaziland letabe ine-democracy. Wonke umuntu angene anemlende yakhe angena nemikhono yakhe asifuni ukuthi kukhanywane nako lesingakufuni kodwa ke siyacela kulaba lesebalibeleke emaphoyiseni lusito likhona bekunene uhulumende wenu uyahluleka kunilekelela bekanigazathisa ukuthi nithenga imibhedze leyashiswa singaliveta lonke lolo sito lelo khululekani there is a way. Siyabonga. Thank you Kabako, sorry ngibese ngiyangenelela. Siyabonga Maswati Lamade siyabonga. Bye bye, thank you very much.